Nothing contained in this podcast should be considered a substitute for professional medical advice. This content does not represent our respective employers and is purely the opinion of the podcast hosts. We are not your personal medical providers. Sorry, friends. So, if you have concerns or are seeking a diagnosis or treatment, please seek individual advice from a healthcare provider in your area. We are not liable for any risks associated with acting upon the information contained in this podcast. This is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only, so enjoy the ride.
Please drink responsibly and in moderation. Before drinking, please be sure to be of the legal drinking age for your country. We do not encourage the misuse of alcohol. Yes. I said 5, 4.
I literally, it did not show me the numbers.
Oh, it only showed them to me. I'm
but
sorry.
It didn't show me the numbers like it normally
does.
does.
All right.
Yeah.
Go.
You will. So, welcome to Medical Media Mixer, the perfect cocktail. I'm Nicole Peniston, psychologist.
And I'm Tara Prisco, physician assistant.
And Riverside is messing with us today.
It's disconcerting because everything I'm doing on screen is delayed to how I'm actually doing it. Even my own mouth moving. It's very bizarre.
Just don't look at yourself.
It's weird. Oh my goodness. It's the computer. Well, actually, here's a good segue into something I was going to talk to you about. So we showed the children The Matrix.
Oh, and there's a glitch in The Matrix. You know what? I've actually never seen the entire Matrix movie. I've only seen bits and pieces of it.
Really? So what's funny is, so it's 1999, and for those who don't know, go watch it.
Keanu Reeves,
Keanu Reeves, something.
I'm like Carrie Ann Inaba. Yeah. No, that's the Dancing with the Stars lady.
No,
it's Carrie.
It's Carrie Ann something. Yeah. What's his name? Morpheus.
Oh, not Samuel L. Jackson. The other guy.
No.
Yeah. The other guy.
Brain not computing. That guy. Fish.
Lawrence Fishburne.
There you go.
You just have to give me part of the word and I'll get it.
But anyway, because it's about essentially AI taking over the world.
Is that really what it's about?
27. Yeah. I'm like, it's 27 years old, but relevant now, which is kind of scary.
It's so sad that I didn't know what The Matrix was about. I knew it was about technology, but
we're constantly a glitch in the Matrix, or take the red pill, or take the
blue pill.
The blue pill.
Again, never seen the movie, but I know the references.
But that's also, it's referencing, of course, Alice in Wonderland, that kind of thing. But it's very violent, but other than that, fine for kids. Lots and lots of violence, but my kids, I don't think I'm not worried about them seeing CGI gunfights.
If they saw Squid Games, I'm sure it's nothing.
Yeah, so I think it was pretty cool, and it kept them entertained for a 2-hour and 20-minute movie.
So now you have to watch the next one with them.
Time. The thing is, all the other ones aren't as good as the original. But then we were like,
Keanu,
we're not getting another dog. I know. We're not getting another dog, but we were dreaming about it. I'm like, oh, we'll get a black dog. And if it's a boy, it'll be Neo. And if it's a girl, it'll be Trinity. Because they were all black.
And I was hoping that you would say that you would name the dog Keanu.
Oh, well, no. It's got to be a cool character name. That's how we do things.
Yeah, Keanu. Cool character name. Cool dude. Cool name.
It is a cool name. But, yeah, it was just funny, how relevant it is. How realistic.
So
anything else?
I was going to ask you, how was your mama's day?
Pretty good. We did brunch, and then we realized that we don't eat enough for buffets to be worth it. So, it was fine. It was good, but we should probably do something else next year. But then we went to Point Pleasant and just walked around the boardwalk for our out of New Jersey friends. That's one of the boardwalks in New Jersey that is, it's a little more family friendly than some of the other ones. It's fairly accessible. It was crazy busy. And then we had to go to the tiki bar, and I had to get a pina colada with a Myers rum floater, because that's what my mom and I do whenever we go to the tiki bar.
Shout out to Martell's. You guys can sponsor us if you want.
Seriously, I spent many days in Jenks. It's all owned by the same people back in the day.
But it's still called Martell's Tiki Bar, though, right?
Martell's Tiki Bar, but it's all owned by Jenks, which is Jenkinson's. And then my little one and my niece went in the fun house. And it was mom's going free. I'm like, I'm not a fan of fun houses in
Same.
the mirror part. The rest of it I'm fine with, but I don't like the mirror part, like the maze. I don't know. It's something disconcerting to me. But I did go in there once, I think, after going out to the
Oh,
bars.
well, that's a different experience then.
Yes. Terry, what do you think about like mirror, like maze things? Does it freak you out? Indifferent?
I honestly don't think I've ever actually been in one. I
Oh,
know I
okay.
wanted to go in one at the Meadowlands Fair, but I don't think I did. Yeah, you
Okay.
have to remember, like, context. Only child, older parents, ain't nobody got time for that. So,
Yeah.
unless my friends were dragging me along, I didn't do a lot of I didn't go on a roller coaster until high school.
Okay.
So,
I used to, well, here's the thing. I mean, we used to go to Wildwood, which is another boardwalk beach, for like one weekend every summer with my mother and her best friend, who's my godmother, and her son, who's like a year older than me. And so he and I used to go on all the rides together. And my sister would have to hang out with the parents because she was like, we couldn't babysit her, but she was like, so anyway, so we used to go on all the big rides, but he used to like zip through like the mirror maze and I'd be like paralyzed, like, I don't like
yeah.
this. I didn't mind when you got to like, there's like the rolling thing, you
Mhm.
got to like run through the tunnel, like that I was cool with. But the mirror maze, I wouldn't say it gives me anxiety, but it gives me pause for sure. I
That's
don't
fair.
find it fun.
And I guess maybe we should clarify for all of those non-New Jersey listeners, we go down the shore. We don't go to the beach.
Yes. Correct. Down the shore, except for don't classify us like Jersey Shore though.
No,
Like the
no,
show.
we're not like the Jersey Shore TM TV
Right.
show. No, we just mean people in New Jersey. That is
We
our
go down the shore.
vernacular. We go down the shore.
Right.
I
Down
don't
the
know
shore.
why.
Right. Even
We just do.
yeah.
Just say it.
Even if the shore is directly west from
Exactly.
you, you're still going
Even if
down
you're
the
going
shore.
across the shore, we still say we're going
Right.
down the shore. Yeah. Just a weird thing about us.
It is. There's something about the smells of the boardwalk, like the French fries, the funnel cakes, the what I mean, the ice cream, the sausage and peppers, the ringing of the bells of like the games.
I'm just shaking my head because the last time I was on the boardwalk, was it the last time? I think the last time I was on the boardwalk, it was for a wine festival and I had a lot of wine. So the smells of the boardwalk after a couple of drinks are not as fun anymore, but they weren't terrible. Like I didn't get sick.
That was in Seaside, I think you said, right?
I
That
think
one?
so. I don't remember.
I haven't been to Seaside in over 20
Yeah,
years.
I think it was
honestly.
Seaside because I don't usually go to Seaside either. So
Yeah, I haven't been in like 20 years.
we did
But it
go
wasn't
for
Seaside.
senior prom though.
I was going to say, yeah, senior prom. Yes, Seaside. Back when they would like let us rent hotel rooms
to minors. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think there had to be somebody who was 18 and they requested a deposit, but like there was all kinds of stuff going on.
They weren't checking. I'm sure they
and I
still
only
do now,
had so much money for like food, but like we had no problem with spending money on the alcohol that all of our friends brought with the coolers or whatever. But like if I had like $1 for a slice of pizza, I was like, where's the cheapest place I can get?
Exactly. Yeah. Those were the days. Now we're too old. Or now we just have $2 for pizza instead of $1.
I think you could get a slice. I don't know if you get a $2 slice anymore. I wonder how much a slice is.
Do you know where you can get a $2 slice? Costco.
Where? Oh, true. But is that real pizza?
I mean, Costco's pizza is fire. It's not boardwalk pizza, but it's good. It's good pizza.
Okay. I haven't tried. I've never tried. I tried to go to Costco to return something. I bought new lounge chairs for around our pool, and one of them, just the box, it came from like their shipment center messed up. So I had to have the husband drive it and carry it because I couldn't carry it. And we went in there on like a Saturday and it was like a madhouse. And we're like, return and get out.
At first I had like on a Saturday. What's wrong with you?
Right. I was like, oh, I wanted to go buy a cooler. Maybe we'll go do that. I have like the check you get at the end of the year. I could spend it on that. And then I saw how crowded it was. I'm like, okay, straight to returns, straight out the door.
No, girl, no. I paused to go to a Costco on like a Thursday or a Friday because sometimes it's crazy. Definitely don't go on a Saturday.
You know what it is too? I do Instacart all the time on the weekends. So I'm sending those people into that. I feel bad now.
But you're paying them good money for that. Sometimes double.
I am. True. But now I realize what I'm sending them into. The chaos.
I've never done Costco or any like a place where you needed a membership on Instacart. I know you can. I've just never done it.
Yeah, you just put your number in, and it still goes all towards my points and all my stuff.
I
So
like to wander around the
it's good.
Costco, check out stuff.
I
I
do.
end up buying stuff I don't need.
Well, that's exactly what happens. That's why doing it online, I could be like focused, like this is what I need, and that's it.
Fair. I think we've talked
No, I
about this
just
before, but
realized.
I can't do online shopping because I'll spend like 6 hours scrolling through things when I could have just gone to the store and come back.
Exactly.
So shall we get started today?
I think so.
Okay.
I think I know what yours is about.
I
Somewhat.
think you know, but do you know?
Uh-oh. Do I?
Do you? So I'm going to start off with my drink, which has a fascinating story of its own. So my drink is called the Seelbach. Have you heard of the Seelbach before?
Seelbach.
Seelbach. Seelbach.
No.
So legend has it that the Seelbach was a cocktail created pre-prohibition times, and that in the 80s, or no, the 90s, a bartender found an old recipe and made it. And it came back into fame. And it essentially is kind of mixing an old-fashioned with champagne. Oh, no, sorry. A Manhattan with champagne, not old-fashioned.
Okay, but still cool.
That was the story. The story was a lie.
Okay.
And basically, the guy who made up this story said that he made up the story because he wanted to, make himself rise to fame, promote the bar that he was working in, and people just believed him. So he went decades before he confessed that it was all a fake story.
That's interesting.
But it is still a cocktail that people drink today. So the Seelbach contains, because I had to open 2 different windows, one for the story, one for the actual cocktail. The Seelbach is 1 ounce of bourbon, a half an ounce of Cointreau, 4 dashes of Angostura bitters, 3 dashes of Peychaud's bitters, and then you top with champagne. And so that is what I'm sipping on today. See? Pretty drink. He's all right. I like my drinks a little sweeter than this, but it's not bad.
I guess it depends on what kind of champagne you use, right? That would suit
it just says champagne or sparkling wine. So if I guess you use like a Moscato or something sweeter.
Like a sweeter.
Then it would be sweeter, but it's not bad. So that is my drink. And it goes along with our topic today because my topic is malingering, which is basically being a dirty, dirty liar for financial gain. So why not drink a cocktail that's a lie?
I like it.
And you know what? I didn't even have to think that hard about it. I just Googled malingering cocktail recipes, and that was the first one that popped up. And I was like,
oh really?
That. Yeah. So apparently that's what the Seelbach is famous for. It's famous for being fake.
Okay.
So what, if anything, do you know about malingering?
I think I can usually sniff one out. A malingerer.
So
I think I have good vibes.
There's a difference between just being a liar and being a malingerer.
Right. Malingerer. Right. It's for some sort of gain.
Typically for financial gain. Or to avoid avoid a problem. So I'm going to talk about several real life and film issues that go into malingering. But one movie I really hope you've seen because it is Chef Kiss. Did you watch Primal Fear?
No.
Shut the front door.
Sorry.
Okay, you need to.
You said you didn't see The Matrix, so
there's a lot of popular movies I haven't seen. Like I haven't seen all of Jaws. I haven't seen any of the Godfathers. Like movie aficionados would be off with my head. Like they can't.
No, I'm the same way. People say that to me.
Yeah,
I agree.
But Primal Fear you need to watch for multiple reasons. But reason number 1 is because I believe it's Edward Norton's film debut. Was the first movie he was in. And it is a fabulous film. So it came out in 1996. It's a legal thriller starring Richard Gere as an attorney and Edward Norton as the person that he is defending. And so Richard Gere gets called to, I believe he's a public defender. I'm just reading the notes quickly because I don't know how he gets involved in the case because I don't think he's a public defender. And he's kind of like a big shot lawyer. So somebody is footing the bill on this for him. But he gets a call that his client, Edward Norton, who was an altar boy, is accused of murdering a Catholic bishop.
Okay.
And so
I feel like I know this premise. I just don't think I've actually seen it.
So throughout the film, Edward Norton and Other people that are in it are Alfre Woodard, Frances McDormand, Laura Linney, John Mahoney. I can't picture John Mahoney, but I feel like I know who he is.
Yeah.
A lot of those late 90s actors were in the movie. And so throughout the course of the majority of the film, Richard Gere is trying to get the story straight so he can truly defend this young man.
Right.
And so Edward Norton's character is named Aaron Stampler, and he's 19 years old. He's a 19-year-old altar boy originally from Kentucky. I believe this takes place in Chicago. Yes, in Chicago. So he's originally from Kentucky. He's now an altar boy He's originally from Kentucky. Now he's an altar boy in Chicago. And he is caught fleeing the scene covered in blood. And then he's subsequently charged with murder when they find the priest has not just been murdered, but essentially like mutilated. Like it's rough.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like explicitly say it, but I'm pretty sure he cut his thingy off.
Oh.
Yeah. So fun times. So right from the bat, Aaron, aka Edward Norton, sorry, I'm like getting all the names in my head confused. I'm not even drunk yet. So right off the bat, Aaron seems very meek, unassuming. He has a pretty significant stutter, and he says that he's innocent, but he also admits that he loses time a lot and has amnesia. So he says that there was another person in the room with him and the priest, and it was this other person that did it, but he doesn't know who this other person was. So Richard Gere's character, his last name is Vale. I can't remember his first name. Martin Vale. So I'll just call him Vale. So Vale believes him. He's like, okay, like this makes sense. Like this poor kid, he's so tiny and he's so like shaken up. Like he couldn't have possibly done this. And so he's working to try to get him off, even though the state wants to pursue the death penalty for this murder. So when they're working on the case, another altar boy is attacked by someone. I'm sorry, it's been a minute since I watched this because I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Okay, this is what happened. This other altar boy who's friends with Aaron is attacked, but it's by another altar boy who then flees. So now they're like, something's going on with these kids. Like, why are they all like getting violent and attacking each other? Something's happening. So then we meet Laura Linney, who is a neuropsychologist, and she comes in and interviews Aaron and finds out about how he had a difficult childhood. It's alluded to some sexual abuse, definitely physical abuse in childhood. Finds out more about his memory lapses, and then finds out that he has a girlfriend, Linda, who is missing. It's like, hey, we got a dead priest.
Forgot
we
to
got
tell
some
you,
altar boys that are all effed up. Now we got some missing girl. So everyone's very confused. And then this becomes very political because, as you can imagine, a high-ranking priest, a lot of times they are connected to politics in some way. And so now this case is gaining traction in the news, and everybody's kind of picking sides and really trying to essentially indict Aaron without really having a full case. They're like, he did it.
Right.
Like this priest got killed. Throughout the course of it, we find out this priest wasn't super nice. And they do discover a VHS cassette. VHS for you youngins out there. It's a video cassette. It was pre-DVD, pre-streaming. Yes. But they find this video in Aaron's apartment that supposedly is a videotape of Aaron, his missing girlfriend Linda, and that other altar boy being forced to engage in sexual acts with the archbishop. So somebody above the priest who was killed.
Wow.
Yes. So now it's this whole religious sex scandal, blah, 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 blah. And so, of course, as you're watching the movie, you're starting to side with Aaron. But then Vale, Richard Gere, is like pissed off at him because he's like, why didn't you tell me this stuff? Like, we could have used this in your defense.
Use that. Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
And, they start arguing and everything like that. And then Aaron is all upset, and all of a sudden he stops stuttering. When he's like stuttered the whole time. Total personality change. Gets super aggressive, like gets in Richard Gere's face and is like, you scared off Aaron. And he's like, well, who the fuck are you? Yeah. So he's Roy. He's another personality.
Okay.
Who is supposed to be like the protector of Aaron. And it may have been Roy that maybe was involved in this murder. And so then they bring in another psychologist who, after like one interview, at least one interview from the movie, diagnoses Aaron with dissociative identity disorder.
Right. That quickly. Of course.
Yeah.
Just based on what he's,
I will say in the whole context of the movie, it is a spectacular performance. Like, it's
Okay.
really believable.
Good acting chops.
Well, good acting chops both for the character
Right.
and for the actor of Edward Norton.
For the actor who's acting like the character acting.
Right. Exactly. So now Vale is like, okay, if he actually has this dissociative identity disorder, I'm going to switch my defense away from being a victim and self-defense and now to an insanity defense. But, and this is a fun fact that I don't know if it's true anymore, he was not allowed to change his defense or his strategy mid-trial.
Okay.
But I feel like if new evidence like that comes up, shouldn't you be able to
Comes up,
change
then
tack?
you should be able to change.
Like, as long as you're sharing it with the other side. I
Right.
would think you would, but
I don't
maybe it's all
see-
for the
I don't know.
theatrics of the movie. So then Vale, is trying to pursue the case. Somebody else gets murdered, and we're not quite sure why. There's like a lot of things going on in the background that I'm just kind of glazing over because it's not the key. But basically, the best part of the whole movie is the very last scene when the court case is over and the jury rules in favor. The judge dismisses the jury and has a bench trial, and he declares Aaron not guilty by reason of insanity, and he's going to be remanded to a psychiatric hospital. But because it's a bench trial, Aaron isn't in the court when that verdict goes down. So Vale goes to the jail to tell Aaron what happened. And Aaron is like, well, that was sweet, wasn't it? And Vale's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, dude, you didn't know I was faking the whole time? So he was lying about the whole thing. Like, he doesn't even have a Southern accent. Like, lying from the jump. And then, the movie ends with seeing Richard Gere kind of having this,
right.
Like this.
Like, what did I do?
Exactly. What did I do? But then also like, well, if I go in there and I tell them, like, then my career is ruined. I don't look legitimate. So that's the movie. So obviously Edward Norton, a.k.a. Aaron Stampler, a.k.a. Roy, was the dirty, dirty liar in this movie. And clearly he was doing it to avoid getting out of prison. Now, what they don't 100% clear up is if Aaron was actually a victim of the sexual abuse or if it was just his friends. Because he was friends with these other altar boys. And he was friends with the girl Linda, who was also abused. So it's unclear if he was a victim or if he was just defending his friends. But he clearly felt justified in the murder, and that's why he then had this whole story.
Right, but he could have probably gotten away with something by using the actual, like, facts, if that was the case. You know what I mean? Versus this whole faking it thing.
But Aaron's smarter than that because, which you may or may not know, I feel like we've discussed it on the pod before, though, is if you are ruled guilty by reason of insanity, the minute you are declared sane, you are released.
Right.
So he could go to the psych hospital,
double jeopardy
hang out there. So. Exactly. Hang out there for a month or so. Suddenly he's cured and he can go home. And what? He got free room and board for a month or so?
Right.
Because he had no problem being in prison. He was loving himself in there. So that is one theatrical example of that. But there's been some pretty public real life examples, but I'm going to go over other theatrical examples. This one is very minute. Like, it honestly has nothing to do with the overall plotline of the story. But have you seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Of course.
So the main character is faking.
Right.
So
yeah.
But I feel like that really doesn't matter for the rest of the movie. It's more about the experience in the mental hospital. But Jack Nicholson's character is faking insanity to avoid prison time.
Right.
So, 2 real life cases of malingering that you may have heard of. Do you know who Vincent the Chin Gigante is? And with a name like the Chin, you better be saying...
He sounds like he's some sort of...
Vinny the Chin.
Mafia, yeah.
Yes. So he was involved in I want to get it right because I did just watch the entire 5 Families documentary on Netflix. I want to say he was trying to find out which family he was in. He was in the Genovese crime family.
Oh.
And he was
a very, very well-known crime family there.
One of the 5 families, yeah.
Yeah.
There are more than 5 families. Those are just the 5 top families. And I'm not going to go into that today. But he was in and out of prison throughout his gangster lifestyle. But as he got older, So I think it began, and let me find that date. So he started out as a professional boxer who fought in 25 matches between 1944 and 1947. So that already, it has me like, is he faking later on, or is it brain injury from boxing?
Right, of course.
He was faking. So he then started working as a mafia enforcer after he was originally part of the Luciano crime family. And then there was a lot of shifting of parts. There's a lot of things at play. He actually tried to assassinate another boss. And then so the other family took him over. He was kind of shifty. And I mean, that's saying a lot for being in the mafia.
I mean, the business is shifty.
Yeah, he was shifty. So he shared a prison cell with a rival of one of the 5 families that he was not involved with, and that was kind of how he became more of what we call a capo regime, one of the captains. So he was kind of like moving on up not in the West Side, though. I don't think he was in the West Side of New York.
No.
Yeah, I don't know what part of New York he was in. So, the Greenwich Village. So that's the East Side.
Southeast.
I think it's the East Side.
South.
Anyway, so he'd been in and out of prison for multiple things. Usually, as you probably recall, at least in our lifetime, a lot of the times that they were putting these big name mafia peoples in prison were for lesser charges because they couldn't necessarily pin them on everything else. So they would pin
Tax
them on.
evasion,
Yes.
you know.
So instead of, pinning them for murder or for drug trafficking or things like that, it would be like wiretap fraud or things like
Right.
that. So smaller things so they can at least keep them in there. So he'd been in and out of prison for quite some time. And then in 1992, he was officially recognized as the most powerful crime boss in the United States. So he had worked his way all the way up. Like he was above Gotti, above the Gambino family. Yeah, like he was there. But then he decided for 30 years to pretend that he was insane. And so he would, anytime he left the house, he would like be going out in like his bathrobe and slippers and like mumble to himself and like pretend like he was lost. I remember at one point they thought that he might have dementia, but he was too young. So he was like doing all of this stuff to essentially, if law enforcement caught him and saw how bizarro he was acting, they'd be like, this dude couldn't have done all this
He
stuff.
couldn't have done it. Right. Yeah. Wow.
And this went on for a long time. Like I remember seeing news footage of them like ushering this like crazy looking dude into like the back of a car. And then like the camera, like he'd go by and he'd be like thumbs up. So like everybody knew he was faking. So he was originally indicted on federal racketeering charges in 1990, but then was determined mentally unfit to stand trial. So it worked for some time. 97, he was tried and convicted again. And that was when they eventually did send him to prison for 12 years. I just disappeared. I can hear myself, but I can't see myself.
Yeah, I can hear you. Your picture just went away.
Oh, well, anyway, he went to prison and he was sentenced to 12 years. He was there. Then he had obstruction charges for a while. He pled guilty to that. And then that was when he finally, in 2003, he finally admitted it was all fake, that he was faking the whole time. And then at that point, he was sentenced to additional 3 years and he passed away in prison in 2005. So that was a real life dirty, dirty liar. So the other real life dirty, dirty liar, you've also heard of him before. Have you heard of the Hillside Strangler?
Oh, yes, for sure.
Did you know what?
I mean, I don't remember the years or whatever.
Do you remember what he was a dirty, dirty liar about?
No.
He also claimed to have multiple personalities, just like Aaron in the movie. Yeah.
Everybody just like throws that out there. Like that's so easy. Like that's probably the hardest thing to fake.
Yes and no. I think if you're doing it intentionally in these situations, it's not hard to fake because you know when to turn it on and when to turn it off.
I guess.
And at the times that these things were happening, like in the movie was the mid-90s. In the Hillside Strangler case, it was the late 70s, early 80s. We didn't know as much about multiple personalities, dissociative identity disorder as we do now. And so I think it was easier for people to get away with it because it was like, oh yeah, it's like so rare. And all of these people have been through so much trauma. And a lot of serial killers have been through a significant amount of trauma themselves.
Of course.
So like, it's kind of like, well, that makes sense. So he did try to use that defense, but then eventually he kind of gave up on it and don't remember. I didn't like look super into his case because I really just wanted to talk about him being a liar about stuff. But there were actually, fun fact, there were 2 hillside stranglers. He worked with someone else. So, but then he was trying to use like an insanity defense to help his case.
Jeez.
Yeah. So that's another famous dirty, dirty liar. So that should have been the name
That's
of
the official diagnosis, the name of the drink, Dirty, Dirty Liar.
No, the official the official title of this episode is Dirty, Dirty Liars. We love them and we hate them. So you may say, what is this? Is this like Munchausen? No, it's not. Munchausen is factitious disorder, which we covered in many episodes ago. I meant to look up which number and I forgot.
A long time ago.
Yes. We covered it when we talked about Gypsy Rose, right?
Yes. We didn't do an episode on her.
No, but we talked about we
just talked about it during some of the other stuff.
Yeah. So that's Munchausen syndrome. That's when someone is faking issues for sympathy, typically, or for attention. Right. So that's the big differential between factitious disorder and malingering. It is either for financial gain or to avoid some sort of punishment. So it can be kind of tricky to diagnose, especially for us, similar to factitious disorder when we talked about it, because number one, we want to believe that what people are telling us is real. And a lot of times malingering is technically a legal term. So it's not necessarily something we can diagnose per se.
Right.
So some basic examples of malingering that I think we probably come across more often are someone swapping a urine sample, giving a fake one, and, or getting an old sample for someone and then warming it up with, by a lamp. So if it's warm, so you think it's fresh, things like that. Usually a smaller stakes are when people are malingering.
For me, it'd be like workers' comp or disability, that kind of a thing.
Sometimes it's to avoid work, like so you said, disability, to avoid jury duty, to get out of military service or other types of obligations. That's typically what it's for. Or, like I said, for financial gain sometimes. But typically it's more of the avoidance of something. And sometimes it can just be exaggerating something that's actually real. So we know that Vincent the Chin wasn't crazy, but maybe he did have some mental health struggles and just decided to trump it up a little bit to get himself out of prison.
Right.
So that's kind of where that would come from. Some cases are pretty easy to detect, like a fake urine sample. I don't know if you've heard it, but colloquially I've heard it, like somebody, buys a urine sample off of somebody for drug testing and then turns out you're pregnant, but it's a guy and it's like, you bought the wrong sample, my friend. So things like that. A lot of times we also see malingering in people who maybe have addiction issues and are faking an illness to obtain opioids or drugs or things like that. So that's another kind of common example, something that we would see more often.
Like a car accident, like suing somebody, exaggerating your symptoms for that.
Yeah. Or
slip and fall.
Yeah, slip and fall is a big one. I think for me, psychologically, something that is a red flag is when someone's coming in for a motor vehicle accident using their motor vehicle insurance, but then it was a single car accident. And it's huh. And there's nothing wrong with the car. And now they've got 3 different lawsuits. And it's okay, this sounds a little tricky. It's not my place to call it malingering, but it makes me puts that red flag in my head about it.
Yeah.
But as we were saying before, it is distinct from somatic symptom disorder, which is when you have mental health issues and they are resulting in things like what used to be called hysterical blindness. So you've got some deep-rooted anxiety, trauma, depression, and now you feel like you can't see. But you're not faking that you can't see. You literally feel like you cannot see, but there's nothing wrong with your eyes. Or, as I said before, the other type, the factitious disorder, that is when there is some other sort of gain coming from that. So what do you think might other red flags be to catch someone who is malingering? Not that we need to catch them. That's like I said, it's a legal thing, but.
I mean, physical exam findings that don't match what they're saying. So somebody can be somewhat educated in the symptoms of something, but not necessarily when I'm moving this, what is that supposed to do? Right? Am I looking for a reflex to be more or less? And they might not know that. So just doing a really thorough exam and finding things that don't quite match.
Yeah. I think a big one that we both have heard about, and hopefully, I don't think you've experienced because we talked about it once on the podcast, is people with doctor shopping. So you go to one doctor because you want this med and they won't give it to you. So you go to another doctor, or maybe they both give you the med and you fill the prescriptions at different pharmacies. So that is some sort of gain that you're getting off of that. It could be financial because, I mean, I feel like insurance companies would catch that if you're refilling the same prescription. But if you're paying out of pocket, now you got the drugs, you got what you needed. And so you're getting
that's why we
gain.
have what's called the PMP, where we can now look things up.
But how many people actually look things up? You know, I don't think you're supposed to.
New Jersey law, you're supposed to now. And the pharmacies also can. So there's kind of a double layer system. Some people's EMRs have it built in. Ours doesn't. So I just have to log in directly. But yeah, I mean, benzodiazepines and opioids are a huge reason that people doctor shop.
Right.
Like you said, fill one here, fill this one cash pay, you know, and you may get away with it a little bit, but then once someone checks, it's a lot harder now.
Right. And to clarify, we're not saying that addiction is malingering. Those are two separate things. But I think that addictive behavior can lead to the malingering because you need to feed that need. I said need a lot in that sentence, but you know what I mean.
It's okay.
So studies have shown that possibly as many of 20% of criminal defendants may exaggerate or fake psychiatric symptoms or illnesses to hinder their prosecution or to lessen their punishment. Now, I'm sure there's lots of people who fake it and don't get caught. So that number, 20%, that's kind of a shot in the dark. It's like a guess.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of high.
I think it's high.
Because I think these days, most people maybe don't have the wherewithal to carry it through for a significant amount of time. But then if you're also thinking about, you know, sometimes people who get caught for drug charges, that turnaround's pretty quick. So they don't have to fake for quite as long.
True.
So I think it depends on the incidence. Research studies also suggest that about 7% of patients seeking psychiatric diagnoses or treatment are malingering. So they want a diagnosis for specific things. And unfortunately, I have come across that, usually more in parents, but wanting a specific diagnosis for their child so they can file for disability and get payments.
Right.
And I will say the people who have done that, I have not met a lot, but they're not very good at lying about it. Because I think they think that if they gain my trust, I'll just go along with it. And be like, I'm not going to diagnose your kid with X, Y, or Z because you want a payment.
Right. Because I think, were you alluding to, well, number one, yes, the child would get the disability payment, but also I know in our state, a parent or a caregiver can get paid to be their aide.
So you get double
that
payment.
They don't have to work a job and you can be paid to stay home and be your child's aide.
Yeah.
Or whoever, family member, whatever.
Yes. And unfortunately, sometimes that also happens in adoption cases where the more children you adopt, the more money you get. And maybe you're not necessarily giving all that money to the child or for their care. But that would be kind of a form of malingering, as you're doing this for a financial gain. In most cases, like I said, it is a financial gain, time off from work, avoiding punishment. But sometimes it can be for other reasons. So someone can claim that they have symptoms of an infection so they can get compensation because it was malpractice or something like that. So it can be a little bit more convoluted than that. But then what happens is these people maybe they don't feel like they have an infection now, but because they feel like their treatment wasn't sufficient, that they might get an infection in the future. So some of it is this kind of just false belief that something could go wrong and then wanting to kind of get ahead of it through this legal process. So it's not always somebody intentionally flat out lying. It's just that confusion of how do I get ahead of this? How do I get ahead in one way or the other? Typically, if someone's good at malingering, they're not going to get caught. So it can be hard to say.
And it can go on a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, like I was saying before, generally sympathy or emotional attention is not the primary motivation for malingering. That's more a factitious disorder, as we were talking about. Can children be malingerers?
I would think so, yeah. To get out of class, to get picked up from school, whatever.
We have all pretended we were sick one day to avoid going to school.
Yeah.
So technically, yes, that's malingering. You know, it's not to the level of where it's involved in the courts or it's a big deal. You know, it's missing one day of school. But technically that qualifies. You know, you're faking something to get out of something or to gain something. You're faking being sick to gain staying home and watching The Price is Right, because that's what I would do. Although my mom would see right through me and she's like, do you need a mental health day? I'm like, sure, I need a mental health day.
I'll call it what.
Yeah. So that's what malingering is. Basically, the way to address it is very similar to when we talked about factitious disorder or Munchausen by proxy, is trying to remain non-confrontational, being more fact-finding, being more kind of just matter of fact of, okay, this is what's happening now. How do we address this problem? Because there is a problem one way or the other. It's a problem if someone's lying, or it's a problem if there's an actual illness. So how do we address the problem together? How do we work together for this? Typically, people who are malingering, though, tend to become a little bit more threatening or aggressive than other folks who might have fictitious disorder. They may have more shame or avoidance of things. Let me see what else I have here. There'll be some links in the show notes to some studies done with the National Library of Medicine about it. Criminal malingering is kind of what we were talking about, where it's to avoid going to jail. And so that article is a lot about the Odd Father, or Vincent Gigante was what they called him. The Odd Father.
The Odd Father.
I just see if there's anybody else. No, they talk mostly about him. But as I said, the Hillside Strangler, Kenneth Bianchi, because there were two. So he was the one who faked multiple personality disorder.
Okay.
Let's see. There was someone else. Okay, so this one is interesting. So I don't know why it says in real life, but it's in the middle of a paragraph, and I didn't read the whole paragraph. In real life, James Lindsay, accused of murdering 15-year-old Emma Thompson, not the actress Emma Thompson, this is claimed to have paranoid schizophrenia, telling the doctors that the devil told him to kill a red-haired woman because I guess the victim had red hair. Obviously, they saw through that if he's making it into this article. So, and then I think we've all heard about these cases where somebody said, oh, the devil made me do it, or I had voices telling me to do things.
Of course.
Then when there's a full psych workup, they don't have those issues. Although there can be a very atypical but real presentation of hearing voices that are giving command hallucinations, but typically they're a bit different than, go kill a red-haired woman. It's usually
right.
It's typically different than that. Another person who supposedly lied, I don't know. I go back and forth with this case because it's a tricky one. Do you remember Andrea Yates? So she was the one who killed all of her children, then laid their bodies out in the front lawn. So they were saying that she was lying about it, but after the fact, they did say she had postpartum psychosis and serious mental health issues. So maybe she was lying in the moment about it. But she did have mental health struggles. Right. Did you watch that new documentary about her?
Not a new one, no.
It's rough to watch because her husband is being interviewed and basically admits to the documentary crew that their doctor told her, do not have more kids, because she had postpartum psychosis with two of the other 5 children. And it was pretty severe. And I'm trying to put it gently so as not to offend anyone. I believe they were Mormons, and so the church was encouraging them to have more children, and so the husband felt that if they had another baby, the baby would save her. And then she killed all of their children. Geez. So, yeah. There's a lot also, the new documentary is weird because they basically try to put it all in the cults, and I'm like, but can't we just admit that postpartum psychosis is real? It's a real mental health diagnosis. She needed help. She looked for help. And it was ignored. And unfortunately, this was the result of it. And I'm not saying that she's fully innocent. She did do it, and she admitted to doing it. But it's also if someone had intervened in a better way beforehand, could have saved multiple children's lives. There was a Nazi war criminal, Rudolf Hess, who claimed that he had amnesia, but then admitted later that he was lying about it. I mean, look, a lot of stuff went on back then. Maybe he couldn't remember it all. I don't know.
How do you prove amnesia too, or disprove
and I think
that's the thing.
That's part of the fascinating part of mental health is it's kind of hard to prove or disprove some of these things. We just go based on the symptom presentation that people tell you. And most people are honest about it, or if they are fudging it a little, it's still within the realm of truth. So someone's oh, I'm depressed every day, when maybe they're depressed 3 days of the week. Well, you're still depressed, so we still want to treat it, but I think it can be difficult to determine in some of these other issues. And to go back to Vinny DeChin. He had fooled a lot of doctors along the way. He had 28 psychiatric hospital admissions and was diagnosed with schizophrenia and dementia at one point, even though he later admitted that he made it all up. So,
wow. I mean, for him to slide by that many people that many times.
But if you think about it, how long do you spend with a patient? And you only need one doctor to say it. And then when it's in the file, if you're on the fence, you're like, well, this other doctor saw it and I'm kind of on the fence. So I'm going to go with what they said. So it really only takes really fooling one person to get it on your medical record. And then after that, it's kind of piece of cake after that.
Right.
Yeah. But he died when he was 77. And yeah, so that was Vinny DeChin.
I want a name. Can I have a mom
I'm sure
name?
there's some sort of generator online. We'll have to do that in a last call.
There probably is. Oh, we should. Okay. All right, let's do that in last call.
I'm sure we can find lots of name generators in the last call. Do you know your soap opera name?
No.
It's your middle name and the street that you grew up on.
Oh, I do know that. I thought it was your porn name.
No, your porn name is... I thought your porn name was the last thing that you ate and then the street you grew up on.
I don't know. I'm Virginia Baldwin.
That sounds like a soap opera name. And mine is Claire Amsterdam.
Yeah,
they both do. Real good soap opera names.
Very dramatic women.
Although my stripper name would be Collard Greens Amsterdam.
Okay, what did I eat?
Collard Greens Amsterdam.
I'm working in a... The last thing I ate was cake. So cake Baldwin. Okay,
that's a high class stripper. Collard Greens Amsterdam. She's on the B team.
Special.
She's working the lunch shift. She's trying her best.
She's in the back room for...
she's trying real hard to get dances, but nobody wants to pay.
Collard greens.
But you know what? She's doing her best.
Oh, my goodness.
It was technically, I had collard greens and grits for dinner, and it was delicious.
Grits. Maybe grits.
Yeah, grits. That's my boxer name.
Yeah, that does. Yeah. It sounds like tough. Your fighter name. All right, we have to look up other
I'm on
generators.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I guess we should wrap it up for today.
All right. So thank you for listening to Medical Media Mixer. Cheers.
The perfect cocktail. Cheers.
I will on the next one.
You're not drinking alcohol.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Medical Media Mixer podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps others find the show. Want to keep the conversation going? Follow us on social media. We're at Medical Media Mixer Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and on Pinterest, the Medical Media Mixer board.
If you'd like to support the show and help us grow, check us out on Patreon. Patreon.com/Medical Media Mixer Podcast. And on Buy Me a Coffee, buymeacoffee.com/Medical Media Mixer Podcast. If you have a topic idea, feedback, or just want to say hi, send us an email at medicalmediamixer@gmail.com. You can also stream all of our episodes and find more info on our website, medicalmediamixer.podbean.com. We're available on all major podcast platforms, so no matter where you listen, we're there. Thanks again for listening. And until next time, keep mixing medicine and media.